Welcome back to the Alec Lewis Show. I am your host, Alec Lewis. This is episode 93, recording on such a beautiful Wednesday, June 25th. Happy to be back. The guest for today is Eric Nordquist, the producer of 9 to Noon on KFAN. Always enjoy his perspective on this team. We talked a lot about his expectations for training camp, what he wants to see, what he's looking forward to, some jokes mixed in. But always, like I said, fun to kick it around with Nordo. Sometimes on the show we don't get to do it enough, so I always love having him on. A lot of JJ McCarthy talk. We got into the arm strength, talked a little bit about the cornerback position, the interior defensive line, Theo Jackson. A lot of good stuff, so hope you guys will enjoy it. It's NBA draft night, so we started with that. You guys can skip through to like minute 5 if you want to miss. If you're not interested, but had to toss that in to start at this quiet Vikings time. As always, this show is presented by First Resource Bank. It's a member FDIC bank in the Minneapolis area. It's run by two guys, really three. Tim Siegley, Aaron Siegley, Charlie Anderson, some really good dudes. They care about the community, and their banking platform is as easy as I've found in the Minneapolis area when I moved up here a few years ago. It's great online banking. There are branches everywhere if you need to stop in. They're Vikings fans, so it's fun to hop in and kick it around with those guys. So, please check out First Resource Bank. The information for First Resource is in the description below. I want to point you guys to a giveaway we're doing for episode 100. So this is episode 93. Got about 7 until then. It'll probably be right around training camp. You can find the information for it on Instagram or Twitter. What you got to do is follow at Alec Lewis Show on Instagram and on X. Subscribe to this YouTube channel by hitting the button below and liking the post on Twitter/Instagram, referencing the giveaway. The winner will get an Alec Lewis Show shirt with the logo, as well as a hefty Jersey Mike's gift card that'll give you a bunch of sandwiches. Do all of those things. We're going to put the names in the hat. We're going to raffle them off for episode 100, and looking forward to seeing who gets that done. In the meantime, couple stories at The Athletic. Slower time of year, obviously, but it's allowed me to work ahead on some bigger stories that I can't wait to unveil come the season and come training camp. So stay locked in for that. Without further ado, let's hop right into it. This is Eric Nordquist of KFAN talking thoughts, ideas, expectations, and excitements for training camp. Nordo, thanks for hopping back on the show. How you doing?
I'm doing well, man. How have you been? I missed you last week, but it's been good to have you kind of, whether it's minicamp, OTAs, our weekly 9 to Noon correspondent. I really appreciate it, and PA does as well.
Yeah, your guy who hosts the show sometimes, he does his vocal maintenance operation. So it's been good. It's been fun to hop on. I was good last week. I missed being on the show. It was obviously it's a rain check is what I'll call it, because as I look outside, there's a little bit of it. But no, I thought it'd be fun to talk expectations for training camp. We got a month out, which really means there's not much going on. So it's like, from my standpoint, who can I talk to who I enjoy talking to about this team and looking forward and getting their mindset. So that's the plan today. But I'm going to start you. It's NBA draft night. The Wolves are picking 17-31. Who do you want? Yeah. I mean, you want this Sorber guy, Walter Clayton? What, have you thought about this at all? I mean, people tuning into this today probably curious, so that's where I'll start.
Yeah, to pretend that I spend all year looking at Ken Pom rankings and I'm following. We were talking about it on the show today. I know who Ace Bailey is, and I've heard the name, and I've seen a few highlights, but I'm not sitting up at night watching Rutgers basketball. There's some cat, actually a listener turned me on to Coward out of Washington State, 6'6" shooting guard, potential, ball handling, could work at the point. We talked about maybe looking at the centers. You mentioned Sorber, and maybe he's the Hoya. There's another cat as well. I'm losing his name right now. Might be Queen, actually. Yeah, Derek Queen, I think. And that's obviously an opportunity. The Wolves, if you're looking in mock drafts, they've been placing a lot of centers and big guys. Now, what does that look like with Rudy? Is that because Rudy was part of the Durant dilemma recently with the Wolves? I think it might be for a team it's two Western Conference Finals in a row. Are they ready to win? Are they ready, or certainly ready to continue being part of the mix? I think you're looking at needs for this team, and they need somebody at the point. So I'm looking for a guard, and that doesn't mean it's all done for Mr. Dillingham, but I think if you can continue to find talent and stack shooters, stack guys with offensive ability for this team, that's what I'd be looking for tonight. Or some crazy deal that lands us Giannis or something insane like that. So,
yeah, Tim Connolly is all like, if I'm John Krasinski right now, who covers the Wolves at The Athletic alongside me, like I on a day like this, I am on edge covering that guy because I just feel like there's always something. Will you watch the draft? I mean, you're gonna watch it, right?
Yeah.
Yep. The NBA draft,
absolutely.
It's I don't know. It occupies a weird space at this time. It just feels a little bit odd. I don't know if I'm misreading that.
Well, the NBA, nobody does the draft like the NFL, of course, but the NBA, it's almost where the lottery. That night, the ping pong balls, that is more intriguing. That provides more drama than draft night itself. Everyone knows Cooper Flagg is going number 1 tonight. And the drama with that, of course, isn't that he's going number 1. It's that a team with like a 1% chance of getting the first pick in Dallas gets the first pick. Oh, yeah, just a few months removed from trading Luka, right?
Sure.
So, KPMG, Deloitte & Touche, whoever it is in charge of it, there may be fraud afoot. Is the NBA draft rigged? That's always a summertime talker, or at least a joke. But no, the draft itself, not as much drama and all of that. But they're going to get people like me sitting down, and then this all kind of goes hand in hand with all of the transactions. It's tough to keep up with. Celtics are trying to move everybody right now. New ownership with A-Rod and Laurie. Would Connolly and company want to make a big splash to kind of ring in the new leadership and the new ownership? So it's a busy summer ahead, though, for a team that's been on the doorstep 2 times in a row and just haven't gotten into the party yet. So, no, but this is, again, without trying to pretend that I know everything about these prospects, it is kind of fun. And tomorrow 9 to noon, we're going to recap it and talk about it and celebrate whoever's going to be the newest member of the Howl.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously never going to be as exciting as selecting an offensive lineman like Donovan Jackson the first round. I mean, it just never will stack up. I will say, it's been on my mind. I was at Maynard's recently. I don't even know if I should say that on the podcast, but wow. Tim Connolly was actually out there the day that I was out there. So it was, obviously he and I were having just a one-on-one meeting at Maynard's, as you could probably expect. But no. Anyway, I digress.
Did you do the waffle fries out there?
Yeah, I mean, just unbelievable. The waffle fries and the sour cream little dip thing they got. It's a special.
It's a staple.
With that view in good weather, it's like that's where when people hear Minnesota, they don't know what it can be. And I just I'll say that. We'll look ahead to training camp. I'll start before we get into specific topics. Like, where does your anticipation for this season, for this training camp, stack up in your mind compared to years past?
I think everyone kind of shares the same topic with the Vikings, that you want to see J.J. McCarthy, right? You want to see, and guys like you, we rely on you for maybe a 4-second video here or there, or analysis. How's JJ looking? You're above this, but not everyone is. Maybe counting his incompletions or his interceptions or touchdowns over the course of a meaningless OTA practice. But it's not meaningless, right? It's a teaching and learning phase, and now camp. Eventually, you're going to put the pads on. There's a lot of things, though. Training camp means football is here. Kind of feels that way, right? We'll be. Our palates will be somewhat satiated with big-time college football kicking off around that time in early August. But It's all about Vikings camp. Seeing McCarthy, though, and especially maybe once you get into the Texans game, but then joint practices with the Patriots, and we're going to get to see Stephon. For those of you that like to dig in the weeds, I think it'll be cool to see Garrett Bradbury again as he comes back here. See, again, digging in the weeds, I know. This is really the last 2 years, but for different reasons. Last year, you're excited about seeing J.J. McCarthy as a rookie, but you also want to figure out, like, okay, you kidding me with this Sam Darnold thing? Is this really – and can J.J. McCarthy beat out Sam Darnold? And then you see what Darnold became over the course of the season. It was super special. But we need to start going into camps not worried about who the quarterback is. Right now, it's we're not necessarily worried about J.J. McCarthy being the QB as much as what we're going to get out of it. But this camp, highly anticipated for me, not just J.J. McCarthy, but the defensive front. I would say those are the first two areas that really excite me. Really pumped about what we did on the offensive line with in particular, you mentioned the draft pick, but Ryan Kelly and Will Fries. But I need to see that, right? They're physically bigger. I know that. I can look at stats and I can look at them. But until maybe I get a series in one of the preseason games and watch these guys actually go to work, I want to see those things. So those are the things that really excite me. Jump into the QB, jump into the defensive front, and just kind of really getting a full physical picture of what this 2025 incarnation of the Vikings looks like.
Seeing Garrett Bradbury, that was not. I mean, that was a deep cut.
Let's catch up with Garrett.
Among my expectations for what you would center on excitement wise, that was now the Stephon. It's interesting because me not covering Stephon here and not observing both what he did on the field and some of the legendary moments, and then obviously like his departure and how that all played out. It's always interesting hearing those stories for me. But no, I mean the place that you started with JJ, that is that is topic number one. Obviously, a couple weeks ago I had a mailbag, or last week or something, and Sam Newton of the Vikings, he put on, he's like, you excited for Back Together weekend? And I was like, to think about Back Together weekend at that time was absolutely ridiculous. But I mean, I'm with you. Like, it's going to be very, very fun to feel the energy, see the energy of what things are like, and to feel that obviously the season will only be a month away at that point. With JJ, and we're really early here. Like, I'm not going to lie about it, and the people listening to this obviously know it. Have you allowed your mind to drift to like what you think you will feel as realistic expectations for him for this year? Like, I've had conversations with people obviously in my industry, with people in the league, of like what is to be expected, what is fair to expect of a guy coming off the injury that he's coming off, of a guy who's still 22 years old, of a guy who also is in this offense with as many bells and whistles as it has, and a quarterback who is not going to make him drop back 40 times a game and throw the football. Like, have you at all positioned your mind to consider what you like, how you will feel is realistic for what he can accomplish this year?
Yeah, I guess. Well, yeah, I have. I tend to think of things in ways of how it can be really good. So in previous conversations that we've had, maybe we're really excited about what a Jordan Mason and Aaron Jones can do, not just for the sake of the run game, but what that might mean for J.J. McCarthy. Speaking about the O-line, excited about maybe a bigger, more physical presence there, hoping the rookie in pass protection can stand tall. And why is that? Well, that's in relation to maybe helping JJ be as good as he possibly can be. But specifically for what he does, for me, I kind of trend down the line of, and this sounds dumb and basic, I suppose, but it's like I want to see good third down conversions. I want to see, even starting. And he's not getting it easy with a nooner on Sunday. He's going right into primetime division matchup against Chicago, right? So we're going to get to see him in the bright lights right away. I anticipate that you're going to see mistakes, and I guess if we're just kind of projecting out, I expect double-digit interceptions from J.J. McCarthy this year. And it's not just because of something that you saw at minicamp or OTAs. I just mean I think you're going to see a guy that, despite being in his second year, is still ultimately going to be learning the timing. He's going to get excited and probably try to dagger something, and he's going to find himself over the course of the 17 weeks of the season. You want to see him better in week 18, technically, I guess, than in week 1. But I anticipate like double-digit interceptions, but I also anticipate 3 to 4 or maybe even 5 rushing touchdowns this year. I anticipate a rookie or a rookie-esque type player making plays with his legs, maybe because he doesn't trust his eyes, or we see potentially moving pockets or trying maybe a little scheme shift or evolution from Kevin O'Connell. I do want to see good third down completions, and I want to see good completion percentage overall. I would expect that his yards per attempt, if that's anything, 7+, I think that we're in absolute rock star territory, at least in terms of what you could want out of a kid his age, still learning on the fly. So those are the kind of things that I think about. I think he's going to make a bunch of mistakes. I think he's going to make some really cool plays with his legs. I think he will, the weird conversation, what's with his arm strength? Can J.J. McCarthy make all the throws? Where did this come from? He's got an arm. He can make all the throws. He's going to wow us a bunch. He's going to make us pull our hair out a bunch. But the head coach, I think, if you're trusting in Kevin O'Connell, you're trusting in the coach of the year, you believe what he's been able to do with Kirk, Dobbs, that whole insanity circus show that took place. You like what he did with Sam Darnold and resurrecting his career. If you like all those things, you got to trust that ultimately, again, from week 1 to week 18, J.J. McCarthy is going to be better. He's going to continue to grow, but I think he's going to help us win quite a lot of games.
Yeah, I have 3 things on what you just said. The first, just to listen to your thought process there, to me, like, that's the healthy way to look at it. The willingness to admit that yes, or to be okay with double-digit interceptions. Like, to me, if you're expecting him to throw 26 touchdowns and 7 picks, like, is that in the realm of possibility? Like, maybe it's in the realm of possibility, but is that like the you're shooting for the stars expectation? In my opinion, yes. So to hear you, first off, thought that was you're setting yourself at a level that totally makes sense. The second thing that I wanted to say is I thought your mention of third down was exceptional, because that was an area in college at Michigan that if you looked at his career at Michigan and you looked at it optimistically, one of the ways that you would evaluate it was when the game got tough, when the leverage increased, when he had to make throws in meaningful situations, that's where he really produced. And third downs, and specifically third down and longs in this league, you know this way better than I do, having watched it for longer than I have. That's where you really have to play quarterback. That's where it's 3rd and 7, you drop back, here comes the pass rush, ears pinned back, you got to process the field in 2.5 seconds, and that's where, I think the guys who lift you make plays. And the third thing I wanted to talk about from that is the arm strength, which, you can imagine me over the last couple of weeks where I'm not having to be at practices. What am I doing? I'm talking to anybody and everybody who has spent time around J.J. McCarthy and other people on this roster. And one of the questions that I've asked certain people who have spent a lot of time around him is like, when you hear this, what do you think of? And if anything, like, there have been coaches in his past who have had to tell him, like, hey, you can throw the ball so hard, we don't need to throw it as hard as you've thrown it every time. Like, if anything, throttle down, layer passes, and that's the development from an arm standpoint, arm caliber standpoint, that has been a focus for him for a long time. So I think the arm strength thing is absolutely ridiculous. I do think, having multiple clubs in the bag and being able to bring out the 9-iron to get the ball up and over onto the green, like that's going to be something that I think we watch all year. Can you get it from the left hash to the right sideline, up and over a defender? Like those are questions that only in time and throughout the season we'll have answers to. But the summary of your answer there that I, just listening to you is, I feel like that is the right way to view this season. Obviously, the expectations are going to be there to win close to double-digit games, probably with this level of talent. But with all the primetime games to perform and produce, and Kevin O'Connell's fourth season, not having won a playoff game, but to expect him to just blow this out of the water from the get-go, to me, you're just asking probably you're setting an unrealistic bar for a guy who literally is 22 and has never played a meaningful NFL down.
Yeah, I think so. Like maybe a Bryce Young or somebody like that. I think about moments where they truly just don't get it. The don't get it moments where it's not just making a mistake, being too aggressive, making a mistake out of the youthful ignorance of somebody with such limited experience in the league. And by the way, this is Bryce Young has gotten better as well. So in fairness to him, but I think about his rookie season, and there were so many moments where, in fact, I just think he looked blatantly lost out there. And good coaching, I think, along the way has maybe helped him get better. But that's what I'm looking for from JJ. The third downs, the guy that wants it, the guy that's willing to make a play. I hate making this correlation because I hate having to give this guy so much respect. But Sean Payton in Denver and what he was able to do with Bo Nix, whatever that trajectory is with Nix, still to be proven out and seen. But very impressive the poise that he had and how well he was coached in his season last year. And so I'm looking for that. I'm looking for playmaking in the spots, the big spots like we were talking about, third down. And I do believe it's not going to be like what we saw from Bo Nix, but I do believe you're going to see JJ moving chains with his legs and just adding a little bit more of an athletic dynamic there that we didn't see from Darnold, that we definitely didn't see from Kirk Cousins during his 6 years here.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Earlier this morning, it's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, earlier this morning, this is going to sound insane. I went back and I watched every throw that every meaningful snap he had in the game that he played for Michigan against Alabama in the Rose Bowl. And down the stretch of that game, again, I'm an Alabama guy. You can imagine it's still
a great game.
Yeah, it was an incredible game. But there were some very high leverage moments down the stretch of that game where it was like quarterback counter, and he's just like 15-yard run down the right sideline. Now, navigating that type of scheme coming off the torn meniscus is going to take very strategic, intentional, usage by Kevin O'Connell if they are to do that. And I expect and trust that Kevin O'Connell, who is a very intentional guy, will be very mindful in the spots that they do that. But I also think, like, if people listen to this, it's like, well, by comparison to even a Bo Nix, like the talent that the Vikings have structured around JJ makes me think the floor is even higher. Like I can understand that. I just don't want to. At least I felt like I don't want to place a bar at a level that is just it's just unfair. Let's segue.
Yeah.
We've done. I mean, we talked. Unless you got something else on JJ. I mean, we've got. I'll let you go.
Well, not a lot, but you're talking to the scheme and how you treat it. If he's healthy, then you would hope that everything's an option. I frankly, and we talked about this 9 to noon a few weeks ago, I'm not necessarily advocating for it, but in the world of run-pass option, which is something the Vikings have in near history have done almost none of, even designed runs don't necessarily light me on fire. But when you're thinking about like how your team can get better, run pass option does kind of become a thing potentially. If you're interested in getting JJ out and moving, it's not probably going to look like Jalen Hurts, but it could be effective. The other end is in the end with this running game. What I like maybe better play action, and because you respect the run game, but getting JJ, I like JJ working under center a little bit, and potentially if we're booting, if we're moving the pocket, we're in the end we're going to get to see his first NFL snap. So I don't know what he looks like in the NFL with his back to the line, right? And making those moves and adjusting and doing play action in its purest form. But those types of things, if we're getting that run game moving in the right direction and we're protecting him the right way, I just think it opens up what we could potentially do to maximize JJ in purple. So just really pumped for it. There's going to be so many good things, so many moments, and he's going to frustrate us at times, I'm sure, but it's all going to be part of a team that I anticipate to be very good overall.
Yeah. Now, I fully expect like a ton of those naked keepers that we used to see. I mean, that we've seen the last few seasons, where it's Sam Darnold on the edge, Johnny Munt somehow for 14 to start the game, Josh Oliver for 17 early in the game, where it's, I mean, I remember you talking to people around Mike Shanahan and what they look for and how much JJ fit. Like, he can get on the edge, he has the mobility to do it, and he has the arm strength and the processing ability to kind of find with like a 3-level throw where to dump it off. So no, I'm with you. It's going to be a blast to watch him every day. I will stick to the regimen that I have of not over placing too much emphasis in any one day. And I say that, and then on this specific podcast, every time I host, it will begin with a 10-minute diatribe of how he looked on that given day. So that, and you'll be talking about it on the air, and that's just how things will go. The second thing, if I'm not mistaken, that you mentioned in terms of your excitement for training camp is the interior of the defensive line and Jonathan Allen's inclusion and Javon Hargraves. I mean, it has to be somewhat, I don't know, refreshing is probably not the right word, but to have interior defenders who can rush the passer, given all the years that you've taught. I mean, I know the 3 years I've been here, we've talked about it a million times in terms of you wanting the pass rushing 3 technique. We've talked about it time and time again. Like, it has to be a I don't know if it's a refreshing cleanse, but just make you go to sleep at night feeling better than you maybe otherwise would, knowing that you have 2 guys on this roster who can do that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We were talking 9 to noon about the hockey team, right? Florida Panthers just go back to back. And you're chasing champions. Minnesota sports fans, this is not uncommon. You're watching another team hoist a trophy, and you're saying, how do we get there? What do they have? The Panthers, it's a tidal wave, line after line of skill. The depth is unmatched, specifically up the middle at center. What are the Wild? I mean, the Wild are trying to trade a center to try and upgrade that guy and goaltending and all of these things. And similarly with the Vikings, you look at the Philadelphia Eagles and they come in waves, right? And so that's what you yearn for as a Vikings fan. Even more specific with this defense in Flores, and not that it hasn't worked. I think the team was 5th in scoring defensively last year, but you had to send an extra guy a lot. One of the highest blitzing teams, might be the highest blitzing team in the NFL, specifically the last 2 seasons in a row. And can you get that same type of pressure and that same type of success without sending an extra guy quite as often? And then you just think about what that means and how that trickles back then to a secondary, which the team remains vocally confident in. And some of us out there, I know there are Vikings fans that, we're frustrated Jair Alexander's in Baltimore now, and what's up with Jalen Ramsey? And, yeah, we're happy for Jeff Okudah trying to resurrect his career, but I'm a Vikings fan trying to win games. We can save the hearts and minds pieces for Alec Lewis and his writing in the summer, but we're trying to win games here. So can we get a corner, please? But again, the trickle effect of the cliches of starting in the trenches is massive. So if Flores is able to get the same or better production without having to send an extra guy all the time, improving coverage and really supporting and protecting What may or may not be, my bad here with the noise on my computer, sorry. What may or may not be a better or somewhat undermanned secondary at times, post-Cam Bynum. Theo Jackson's going to get more run. If you're able to get that kind of production without sending an extra guy, if you're able to get more thrust and explosion from a pass rushing standpoint up the middle in particular, love Grenard, love Van Ginkel, but let's affect the quarterback's feet, right? Let's make him uncomfortable right in front of his face and make him move, and that could even potentially then add to the sack numbers of Grenard, Van Ginkel. How about Dallas? How about Dallas Turner, year 2? So that's what really excites me, is having waves potentially, having depth in that spot. Harrison Phillips, as much as I like him, you and I have talked about this a couple of different times, I need that snap count to come down for Harrison Phillips and get production within that number, so that this helps do that. Now, everybody we talked about is basically coming off injury, both Jonathan Allen and Hargraves. So there's a lot of faith. We were joking about it on the show today. We had Softy from Seattle, KJR radio host out there, and the Seattle Seahawks, of course, pick up Cooper Kupp. And if you're seeing Cooper Kupp go to your rival, you're saying what? Guy can't play. I mean, that guy's old.
Can't stay healthy.
Look at him. He can't stay on the field, right? Puka beat him out. Puka. But if he's coming to your team, it's untapped talent. There, he's still got it. If he can only play 17 games, everything's going to be perfect. So, beauty in the eye of the beholder. Perspective changes. In our case, we're rooting for very healthy seasons from Mr. Hargrave and from Mr. Allen. And as long as that goes the right way, I love the upgrades that we put in place.
Yeah, you mentioned the cornerback spot there, and I mean, I've talked about it a ton and written about it a ton, but I mean, it's interesting because I was going back, like 2022, Ed Donatel, the cornerbacks on that team were Patrick Peterson, who was definitely over the hill at that point. And I love being around him. He's a phenomenal guy, and he's like a legendary player. But at that point, I mean, he couldn't play man coverage. Channon Sullivan was like the answer at nickel.
Oh, yeah.
It was not a good year. Cam Dantzler was like a starting cornerback to start that season. Yeah, I was trying to think, like, who else did they have? Duke Shelley. I remember Duke Shelley.
Was it Caleb Evans a rookie?
Caleb Evans.
Maybe he was a rookie.
He was a rookie, and he was navigating concussions. So 2023, you had, gosh, I mean, I was going through this the other day, but I think at some point, maybe even last year, the Vikings didn't, or maybe it was 23, the Vikings didn't re-sign Duke Shelley, and people were hot. I mean, people here were like, how are you not bringing back the Duke? And if that's not a representation for where the Vikings cornerback room has been, it's unbelievable. And then last year, I mean, like, I don't think anybody watching would sit here and tell you that it was like anywhere close to an elite group. Stephon Gilmore made a couple incredible plays, like the interception of Aaron Rodgers to seal the game in London was very impressive. Shaq Griffin, I mean, amazing leader in the room. He just signed today back with Seattle. And Byron Murphy, like, was really, really good last year from a production interception standpoint. But like, it's been interesting to me. You get to this spot this year where they identify Isaiah Rodgers as a guy who, I mean, a young guy who just won a Super Bowl in Philadelphia, who played in Indianapolis and was very good. And here locally, it's felt like there's a lot of skepticism of Isaiah Rodgers. But for me, it's like, you got to feel as good with him as you probably felt with like a Shaq Griffin at his age last year. And then Jeff Okudah, I mean, you can look at PFF grades and I mean, he's been injured a lot. So I get the skepticism, but I also have to imagine if there's a coordinator who's going to maximize his skill set, it's got to be Brian Flores. Like, I've gone back and forth with how I feel about that room. The question I'd ask you is like, how much, I mean, more comfortable would them adding another player who has experience to that room, like how much more at ease would that put you? Or do you already feel at ease with the fact that they feel confident enough in the room that they currently have?
Yeah, this is a Rube. This is a purple-colored glasses response, but I actually have an immense amount of trust in Brian Flores. I mean, think about, so 2023, Brian Flores is going to work with a rookie in Mekhi Blackman, a second-year kid in Andrew Booth who doesn't get it, first year of Byron Murphy, so you dig that, but then a Caleb Evans in his second year, I believe, as well, trying to find his way. And Caleb, all things considered, did actually have some pretty good moments, but then I don't know what happened. Like, he just lost it. And then whatever growth arc there was, it was gone in a flash. But again, and Stephon Gilmore and Shaq Griffin doing their thing last year. I know Gilmore had kind of that walk-off pick on Rodgers in the London game and stuff like that. Like, cool moments, in all respect to Stephon Gilmore. You could also, and I know you're busy watching every single impactful play of J.J. McCarthy's college career right now, which is what you should be doing. But if you watched all of Stephon Gilmore's plays, you'd be like, wow, that guy, he's kind of 6 yards behind that receiver there. Wow, it looks like he's turning a battleship when he's trying to cut. And Flores figured out how to get it done. And maybe the last couple of years, that's why you're blitzing more than anyone else in the NFL. So, and again, my goal ultimately is that we get productivity at the line without that. But I have just such an immense amount of trust for Brian Flores that I don't feel this guttural. I'm not compelled to what we need Jalen Ramsey. I don't even know. I haven't looked at, I haven't gone to Spot Rack and looked at who's available at corner. I'm sure I saw Shaq Griffin actually went back to Seattle today, so Shaq's not available anymore. Best of luck to him. But if you add one of those guys, it'll make sense, right? Like if Fabian Moreau comes back, no one's excited about it. I'm just going to trust that they have something for him to do. They think that there's a purpose for him on this team. I just don't see if they brought Jalen Ramsey, yes, yeah, that would make me feel probably better about the starting lineup. But without giving up that currency, without that being an option, they just go and get somebody off the street. I have to trust in Brian Flores because he's just proven it out. These are not elite names that we're talking about. We love Hitman, end of his career. Cam Bynum does his thing, and we love Metellus. We love a lot of our guys. We fall in love with them, I think, in our market, just like others do, I'm sure, in many other markets throughout the league. But in the end, we're not talking about, if we're not adding a consummate all-pro, and we can just look at the results over the last 2 years, I think Brian Flores has earned an immense amount of faith that whoever he decides on putting into this mix, that he's going to figure out how to get it done with them. And he's done it 2 years in a row, and I think we actually may have the best lineup since he's come to Minnesota from a personnel standpoint, which should only lend then to more excitement, more trust, that if all the people and all the bodies are healthy, this is going to be a damn good defense again.
I think I've told this story before, but I'll never forget this moment last year in the locker room after the Packers game, where the Vikings that day played like 50% man coverage just out of nowhere. I mean, it was like, if you're Matt LaFleur and you're game planning, you're like, okay, they do this non-traditional Tampa 2 stuff. They play some cover 4. They'll show the all-out blitz, but they don't play man. And then all of a sudden that day, because Brian Flores is Brian Flores, and sometimes it doesn't make any sense, he throws 50% man at Matt LaFleur. And I think LaFleur after the game was like, I like that, like where we didn't expect that. So, I mean, and I'll never forget in the locker room after the game, Stephon Gilmore, I mean, he sat down and sighed on his chair in front of his locker, and he sighed, and it was like shaking his head like, man, I don't know if I could do that again. I don't know if I can walk again, like, shortly after. And I'll never forget, he and Harrison Smith were just, like, standing there at their locker. And it was a hell of an impressive defensive performance, and they won the game. And it's part of why you put yourself in position to win the NFC North and why that Week 18 game was, I mean, like, had they not rolled that out in that game, you wouldn't have had the chance in Detroit to snatch the bye in the division and all that. But I just remember, I'll never forget, like, the looks on those guys' faces after doing that in that game. And so at the bare minimum with this group, you got younger legs. You could do that more. I also, I mean, you mentioned the spot track names. Like, this is a front office that has proven it is willing to get very creative. Now, do they want to part with picks at this point? No. Like, this isn't like the last couple of years where, you know, you trade a fourth rounder. Like, with how they've built this roster around the young quarterback, the more expensive that young quarterback contract gets, the more you want to have draft picks who are inexpensive to supplement the talent, so where you don't have to use some of the salary cap space on more talent. So they could get creative with a trade, but of like a, you know, another cornerback for depth. It's hard for me to envision that. But I'm with you. I mean, Brian Flores, with the players that they've acquired and how well it's gone, it's hard not to trust in it. Last thing, and I'll leave you here. Is there anything else? It's like, it could be your deep cuts, like your Garrett Bradbury's coming back for joint practices, which was, again, I mean, that was, holy cow. I'm not going to forget that for a while. Is there anything else? It's like throughout the course of July 22nd to August, whatever, 30th, like, these are these small, minuscule things that you got your eyes on that you're like a nugget in the athletic story that it's like, we could get a Vikes bite out of this. What else exists for you?
So I was doom scrolling on X today,
that's
that's
always great.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's a lot of things going on. There was a video of Rondale Moore doing some sprints. So now I just want to watch. You know, sounds weird. I'm a 40-year-old man. I have a family. I got stuff going on. I just kind of want to see Rondale Moore running and cutting and making plays against nobody right now. It's June. You know, it's raining outside. There's got plenty of time to watch Rondale Moore videos before the draft kicks off. In all seriousness, though, I do think, you know, when you think about people. It's kind of a cool story. Not that I'm not personally connected. I've never met Rondale. I watched him, you know, trying to start terrorizing the college ranks at Purdue, and then got to see him kind of as Arizona was just trying to figure out how to unlock this athlete that they had and what to make of it and how to utilize him. And then I guess, you know, as an outsider to the Cards Nation, I didn't see him get moved to Atlanta, excuse me. And then the awful injury. So now, what is it, 10 months, 11 months? I mean, it's almost a year since he got hurt. I think it was really early in camp.
I believe August.
Yeah, almost a year now. So with that said, I mean, he's going to be somebody that I'm really keyed in on. And, I mean, you know, we'll be out on the perch, and the host is checking out shoulders and upper bodies, and everyone's coming back stronger and taller. And I guess in that sense, I'm going to be looking at Rondale Moore, just to see what he could potentially do to fit in. And, you know, Jalen Naylor with the low number, I'm going to have to look quick. Don't blink, because he'll get right by you. He's fast.
It's unbelievable. But I mean, you'll see. You're up there on the perch, and you're going to notice very quickly. You're going to be like, is that Debo, or is that, I can't understand.
Oh, yeah.
No, the Rondale one is
Rondale.
It's interesting. To reiterate, like Mizzou played Purdue a couple of times while I was in college at Mizzou, and I remember there was a game where David Blau threw for 500 yards, and maybe 200 of them were Rondale Moore, catches and weaving his way. But he's definitely an interesting player. For me, I'm curious to see, like, you know, how quickly can he pick up this system? Can he pick it up quickly enough to? I mean, if Jordan Addison is eventually suspended, can he pick it up quick enough to step in early on and meaningfully contribute? It'll be interesting. I'm like, the thing for me, like Theo Jackson, you and I have been out there. I remember last year we were out on the perch and we talked to him after one of the practices. And that he was just kind of blowing things away. But I've spent, you're not going to be surprised by this, I've spent some of the last couple weeks talking to people around Theo, people have been around him throughout his arc. And it's very, like, it's not surprising to anybody who has been around him to understand that he's, like, been the professional that he's been to get to a place at which he would earn an everyday opportunity. So, yeah, like, even, I'll when we're back. We will be back, and I will be very intrigued by some of those little, some of the minutia like that, because, it's ridiculous, but it's hard not to be.
Well, I'm looking for that. I'm looking for that post. That's why I've already begun doom scrolling on X, so I can be ready for "we're back" in all caps, and it'll be some sort of a picture like you in a Jersey Mike's bag,
absolutely,
in the parking lot. Maybe like TCO Stadium is in the foreground or background rather of the picture. Looking forward to that. Yeah, and so obscure nuggets like that. Maybe like, hey, what's up with Bo Richter? That's yeah. You know how this goes.
Someone in the mailbag the other day is like, so what is Ryan Wright? Where are we at? And now I don't think that's an insignificant conversing. Like, the punting has been atrocious for 3 years. So, but, and I don't know if atrocious, I'd be respectful, but it has not been otherworldly. So no, yeah, that'll be fun. But yeah, you'll get the picture with the Jersey Mikes. I'm going to have to tone it down. There's going to be, I'll be so excited that there's going to have to be a ramp up period, probably, but, yeah. No, it should be very fun. I appreciate you hopping on this, rainy day and starting talking about the Wolves and Sorber. Like, I've seen some of these names. I'm like, I've never heard of that guy. Asa Newell from Georgia. Like, I had no idea. But yeah. It'll be we got a month until showtime. It's crazy.
No, and yeah, so it's trying to pick through those things and work our way there. Baseball team's not helping us from an entertainment standpoint right now. So we are pulling out. I mean, hey, the Bo Richter talkers, don't forget about Gabe Murphy. How about Gabe? I mean, Gabe's got a chance. Okay, so if Dallas Turner's going to be elevated, somebody's got to fill that void, Alec, and you're just the guy to cover it and report it. But we're going to have fun with it, man. I mean, we're so blessed with the access to it and the energy. I want to see, I want to see JJ McCarthy. Does he galvanize troops in that sense as a leader? The have to earn it through equity side of it versus there's a little bit of an inherited part of it as a QB. I love the energy, specifically the last few years out there this time of year, and just how that carries into September and beyond. So it's really one of our favorite things to do at the Fan is just kind of being on a fly on the wall, being able to enjoy it and soak it in. And so all of that's cool, from the jokes and the minutia and the bits to the more overlying 10,000-foot view things. I truly believe that that JJ has a chance not to be perfect. He's not going to be an All-Pro in 2025, I don't think, but I think he has a chance to be good. I think he has the chance to show us that he's here for a while, and he's going to give us a lot to be excited about. And as part of that, I think are going to come victories in a very competitive NFC North, where I see the Lions coming down. I think the Bears are a wild card. I think the Packers are a double-digit win team. Like, I think this, probably is the toughest division in the NFL. I think it will be again in terms of how close these four teams really are, and all of their paths have a few unknowns. All four teams dealing with some change and some frustrating aspects that maybe need to get better. But all 4 teams, nobody's a 3-win team in this division. And so it's going to be a blast. But I do see if JJ is ready for the moment, I'm just really pumped for what that looks like this season.
I'm with you. Thanks for hopping on, and I'll get you the Taki Taimani updates soon. So appreciate it.
Levi Drake Rodriguez.
And that'll do it for episode 93 of the Alec Lewis Show. Appreciate you guys being here and listening to that conversation with Nordo. It was always fun. Couple things. First, the giveaway. I mentioned it at the top. You need to follow Alec Lewis Show on Instagram and X. Subscribe to the channel by hitting the button below. Like the social media post on Instagram and Twitter. And you can win a t-shirt and a hefty Jersey Mice gift card. So please do that. Check out First Resource Bank. The information is in the description below for those guys. And then, check out the stories at The Athletic. We've got some stuff. Got something for Thursday on Josh Metellus and the contract. So please go check that out. But that'll do it again for episode 93 of the Alec Lewis Show. We'll be back next week with another episode. And it's quieter time of the year. Allows me to kind of get away, refresh, and also work ahead on some bigger pictures that'll be fun for you guys to read come the fall. So stay tuned, stay locked in, and we will be back talking to you guys very, very soon.